Oh, what's good? Welcome back. This is Sucker Metal. Hope you're having a good time. Day, night. Hope you're having good weather. And yeah, been a while, I know, but I've been continuing to practice drawing. I just haven't been recording any of the work that I've been doing as far as that goes, because some of it is not TOS friendly or YouTube, and I didn't bother posting on Twitter because I don't want to give people the impression that I only make not safe for work content. Maybe one day, but I don't know, it just doesn't really appeal to me right now as far as that goes. Nothing against people that post their not safe for work content on Twitter, you know, more power to them and all that, but right now I'm just focusing on making content that are about things that I like. But the reason why I make not safe for work content in the first place, sorry, let me rephrase that. The reason why I make drawings and sketches and stuff like that is because, technically speaking, figure drawing and figure painting involve drawing and painting some person that's naked, and that's always going to be inherently not safe for work. Now granted, it's artistic and more tasteful than, say, just straight up porn, but nonetheless, though, a lot of people, especially on the internet, they're not really going to think about that as far as the artistic quality of a figure drawing or figure painting as an artistic nude. They just see a naked person and they're automatically going to assume it's porn. So, unless they're European or something, in which case maybe the chances of that happening are lower, but nonetheless, though, any lewds and nudes and figure paintings and figure drawings that I make, I just post them on 4chan, because 4chan, well, one, is completely anonymous, and two, 4chan is a lot more accepting of that kind of content anyways. And I mainly make that kind of content just to improve my figure drawing and figure painting. But the resources that they provide for practicing artistic nudes, figure drawing, and figure painting lean more towards the not safe for work kind of references, if you know what I mean. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I personally use it just because that's what they offer, right? And it's been helping me so far, but at the same time, though, I can't really expect to post that kind of stuff anywhere else but 4chan. And even then, 4chan anons aren't going to just tolerate anything that you make as far as that goes. You know, I have been ridiculed about some of the stuff that I've been posting. Not necessarily because it looks bad, or rather the skill applied is not bad, it's just more of the matter of the content itself. But if those are the only resources that I'm given, then I don't really have many other options to use, right, besides that. So anyways, and I'm referring to the reference images, by the way, that they offer as resources to practice figure drawing and figure painting. But yeah, I've been practicing that stuff. I've been posting when I can on Twitter, but I want to make some more drawings and digital paintings that are more post worthy on Twitter, if that makes sense. So that's what I plan on doing. Let's see, anything else I wanted to talk about? I want to at least just talk for like a good 10 minutes into this video, because I tend to have a harder time concentrating on staying on topic when I'm discussing things while I'm doing something else. My brain is pretty much goes into tunnel vision mode, and I can only handle one thing at a time, which our brains are supposed to do anyways. But nonetheless, though, I can't really manage my thoughts very well if I'm jumping between focusing on drawing, focusing on gaming, focusing on talking, and focusing on planning. So anyways, that's about that. Oh, something else I wanted to talk about in this video is I had someone ask me if I'm going to go back to streaming on Twitch. And for those that don't know, yes, I have been streaming on Twitch for a good long while, and I stopped right around the time when Twitch changed their TOS rules and policies that allowed artists and certain other kinds of streamers to make more risque content, let's just put it that way. And once those changes were made, pretty much a lot, not all, but a lot of streamers on Twitch just took advantage of those changes to the TOS policies. And just, I mean, you can look it up for yourself. It wasn't that long ago at the time of this video's recording. Yeah, I mean, you had full-blown nudity on streams, and this wasn't just IRL face cam streamers doing this. There was also VTubers doing this as well, both with their models and with just drawing nudes and lewds. And there's nothing wrong. I don't have a problem with that personally, but Twitch didn't really. They realized that the mistake that they made when they gave that much freedom to the content creators, and they immediately reverted their policy changes back within 2 days after releasing said changes. So I pretty much thought to myself, you know what, I'm already streaming on YouTube just because YouTube's a lot more convenient and more archive friendly towards my content, especially my stream VODs. I might as well just continue streaming on YouTube and making videos on YouTube and so on, and just focus on Twitter as well, because straight up Twitch is looking pretty dangerous to be on right now. But I understand that there were some streams that I didn't finish. My Splinter Cell Chaos Theory 100% very hard, sorry, expert difficulty, no gadgets, pure ghost playthrough that I was doing. I did not finish that. In fact, I don't think I even finished Cargo Ship. Now, I wish I recorded myself doing the original, my first run through that challenge playthrough, because Man, that would have been pretty entertaining at the time. And on top of that, it would have given me a good idea of how I went about doing it. But anyways, I will go back to doing that on Twitch. I just don't know when exactly, because I'm focusing on improving my art skills and just making videos, because for the most part, with the way my current job works right now, I don't have a consistent work schedule at all. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to dox myself, and on top of that, my job made me sign an NDA contract, but basically the whole 9 to 5 schedule does not apply to the current job I have. So there's that. On top of that, I have my own personal doctor's appointments and physical therapy that I'm going through. And that's not consistent either, because that's based on my work schedule. So for the most part, I have not been able to have a consistent content creation schedule, if that makes sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some days I know for a fact that I can do it, such as the weekend. Thankfully, I don't work on weekends with my current job. But in the case with yesterday, you know, I just have a lot of chores to do, and had some family visit as well. So I'm trying not to make excuses, but that's just, you know, the fact of the matter. So there's that. But my point is that I kind of just stopped trying to stream and announce when I'm streaming, because more times than not, it's a struggle to keep the promise that I make that I'm going to stream at this specific time, since things just keep coming up. There are more and more there's more and more paperwork I have to complete, and so on and so forth. You know, just basically juggling between errands, responsibilities, chores, etc. right now. But I don't foresee this being a thing for very long, at least not after this year is over, because I'm hoping that I'll get into another kind of career either later this year or next year, but we'll see. I definitely want to finish my Jade Empire playthrough as well on Twitch, even though technically speaking that hasn't really given me a whole lot of attention on Twitch. Even the VODs don't do very well. And fighting game content, I know I used to do that as well, and that got me pretty. That got some eyes on my Twitch channel, anyways, about a year or two ago. But the problem is that competitive games in general. Sorry, I'm drinking my green tea. Competitive games in general just stress me out very, very much. And right now I'm trying to manage my stress levels as much as I can, especially after leaving my teaching career, which, by the way, being a teacher it's unreasonably stressful. It really was. And I don't blame anybody that is a teacher right now that wants to quit and wants to do something else. Anyways, I can talk about that some other time, but for the most part though, I'm just trying to keep my New Year's resolution this year or maintain anyways, of keeping my stress levels low, limit my stressors that I'm willing to put up with, and on top of that, take my mental health much more seriously. Which is ironic because I work with people who don't have good mental health, But that's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways. What else do I want to talk about? So yeah, I don't know when exactly I'll stream on Twitch again. It won't be too long though. I do eventually want to go back to Twitch, and so far it's been calming down. But nonetheless though, the Twitch meta that keeps evolving, it's just becoming more and more degenerate. And again, I have no qualms. I don't have any problems with people that are into that kind of thing, but I personally don't want to have my content and my channel associated with that kind of thing, if that makes sense. So I always talked about making not safe for work content, but unfortunately the internet, as far as the support for not that kind of content goes, has become a lot more hostile towards it, and therefore I don't feel safe making that kind of content, even if I wanted to. So therefore I'm just going to continue doing what I have been doing, which is just whatever I want to do that doesn't draw too much negative attention anyways towards me. I could deal with that on 4chan because it's anonymous and such, and on top of that, threats don't last very long, so people tend to forget. But on Twitter and YouTube especially, yeah, no, I'm trying to avoid something like that happening there because, you know. Anyways, enough about that. I've almost been talking for 20 minutes, so let's go ahead and get drawing. Okay. There you go. And then let's move this up. Oh yeah, for some reason, I didn't realize this, but on OBS, if you have a source, a media, what is it called? Media source as a source, try not to be redundant, but basically if you're playing a video file on as a source on OBS, make sure you, even if there's no, how should I say this? So basically, it's difficult to explain because I'm not showing what I have on OBS right now, but basically the capture of Krita right here, this right here, was below the video file playing the music you're listening to right now, and therefore the canvas of Krita anyways, or Krita in general, was just not being captured. It was not visible because there was a video playing over it that, or playing on top of it anyways, that was just playing nothing but music, and there's no visuals in the video because it's just basically a music track being played on loop. So I don't know if that's going to help anybody, but definitely though, I'm saying this now in case if later in the future I make the same mistake again and I'm wondering, hey, what's going on? I can't see anything on OBS. Why is it not capturing Krita or whatever other software I'm making or playing right now? Okay, so let's see. The screenshot was taken, by the way, from the game called Tsudeki. So how I got to this point, right, all this right here on the canvas, this is what I did. So basically I took the reference image, I made it small, put it on the left side, left bottom corner here, and then I drew the figures on the right bottom corner here, and I only drew these three this chick right here. Oh, hold on. Yeah, the chick in the left, the guy with the sword in the middle, and this other chick on the right. I'm not going to draw, I'm not going to paint these two because I just don't care enough about these two to bother doing that. I'm also not doing the big structure building in the background either. I'm just focusing on figure work. Anyways, but yeah, that's how I got the figures done, and I essentially just copied, not traced, I copied this time the figures from the reference images, and then I just resized the figure sketch you see right now to fill up the canvas. Okay, so that's pretty much what I did. And what I'm also doing right now is I'm just doing the highlights first, because again, I'm using the same methods as I used when I was painting with oil paint and acrylic paint. Let me make this smaller. There we go. There we go. And yeah, I'm just digitally painting. The brush I'm using right now is pretty simple. It just has some anti-aliasing around the side, around the edge of the circle cursor, or the circle shape of the cursor. And I think it's a Gaussian blur or a Gaussian fade for the anti-aliasing. And basically I just wanted to make a simple soft brush so that I got something to work with. Actually, I should do the hair first. And yeah, that's about it really. The brush size itself is 100 pixels, but I have the size setting matching or being affected by the pressure sensitivity of the tablet pen, right? So the harder I push, the bigger the cursor is, or the brush size is. So it'll make covering areas up like this a little bit easier. And I just want to go ahead and use the fill tool as well to quickly fill up big areas of color. I think that's it for that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just using color picker like this, brush, and then just covering over. And I'm making sure to keep the reference image, this big one anyways, underneath so that I don't have to guess where the colors are supposed to be and the shades and all that, because I've already done the outlines of the figures and I don't want to burn myself out by just focusing on making sure the locations of every single body feature, piece of clothing, limb, etc., is in the correct spot. That's gonna burn me out real fast. I tend to just not care about things like that if they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. There we go. And there's nothing wrong with anybody doing that if they enjoy it, but I personally don't enjoy doing that. Don't get me wrong, I like my stuff to look neat and tidy and all that, but at the same time though, when the amount of effort I'm putting into something does not match my enjoyment of it or does not net me enough of a reward, I'm just not going to care enough to put the extra effort in to do it. I'm just not doing that. I didn't used to think this way, but after my experience being a teacher, pretty much I've learned that you don't have to work hard to still succeed. I know a lot of people think this way too and all that, but I was still naive thinking that hard work and all things that I did was somehow going to get me where I want to be, when that's just not true. That's not to say that you shouldn't try hard and all that, but just know that hard effort by itself, and in case with drawing and painting, just doing a lot of sketches and drilling a bunch of fundamentals and such, it's good, but it's not going to somehow make you a master artist just because you do that alone. That's just not enough.
Are you saving again?
And I gotta get more sound bites. So how long is this video gonna be? I want to keep it at least an hour long. I'm in a weird spot right now where pretty much today I've already done all my chores and responsibilities and so on, so pretty much I just have the whole day to myself now. Besides taking care of some other things here and there that won't take very long. But yeah. But going back to what I was going back to 4chan and, you know, and the things that I was doing on 4chan, basically, I'm trying to experiment as much as I can. Also, you probably have noticed if you pay attention, if you've been following me on Twitter, but I still haven't even started on the 5th work of the Ninja Gaiden Project series. That's just because I've been experimenting with different techniques and fundamentals. So please be patient with me. I want to make sure that each iteration, or not iteration, each work in the project series looks better than the last one. So I'm going to be working on the 5th one. I want to make sure this 5th one looks better than the last 4 that I was doing, and so on and so forth. The 6th one should look better than the 5th, and so on and so forth. I know 10 is a pretty small number to aim for with this series, because I only plan on doing 10 of these drawings for now for the Ninja Gaiden Project series, but nonetheless though, I only limit it to 10 just because I know for a fact that I'm going to get burnt out, because I had a lot of reference images in another project series I did a few years ago. It was the Knuckles drawings, and the reason why I got burnt out with that series was for the same reason that I'm feeling a little burnt out with the Ninja Gaiden Project series. Doing the same thing over and over and over again gets boring real fast. And while yes, sometimes it helps, sometimes anyways, helps with learning something and learning something faster anyways, it's not the most fun thing to do, and it's very easy to just lose interest in doing that repetitive action over and over and over again. I start to just not care anymore about what I'm doing, and I'm only really doing it just for the sake of consistency. That's it. I don't really care about the end result. I just want to finish it so that I come away leaving satisfied that I did the action regardless of the end result. But of course, that's not how it works as an artist. People that look at art or other kinds of media, any kind of media really, they care a lot about quality as well, because of course it's their attention and time that they're giving to that piece of media or that artwork. And of course, they don't want to waste their time and attention on something that's not going to be very pleasing to the eye, not very appealing, doesn't really speak to them, etc., etc., or that they just can't relate to. So I got to keep that in mind as well. As I discovered with 4chan, there are some things that people are willing to look at, and there are some things that people are not willing to look at. I also dealt with this problem when I was a teacher as well. You can't really get someone to care about something unless it inherently appeals to them. So asking someone to look at your artwork and such is not going to be... It might convince a few people to do it, but for most people, they're not going to really care and give you the time of day. And rightly so. I mean, none of us are entitled to anyone else's attention or time, etc., etc. So what do you do to convince them to look at your stuff or to care about your stuff? It's got to appeal to them, to their preferences, to their... and I'm going to use an academic word here, their schema, basically something that they can relate to or that they understand on a more, whoops, my bad, on a more cultural level. Is my mic on? Yeah, it is. Sorry, I'm trying this audio input capture feature that OBS has. I've never really tried it before, and I'm trying it now because I'm hoping that I get to... It'll help me with my editing. If I can separate the audio from other sources, like videos on YouTube or other games, from the audio of, say, the soundtrack I'm playing right now, then that'll help with editing videos a lot. It'll make editing videos a lot more easier because then I'm not having to just straight up remove the audio entirely or do some workarounds to separate the audio from my mic and the audio of the games that I play or the music that I play and so on. If there's something that I would recommend anybody do if they want to get into making art or learning how to draw and paint and all that, if you're working digitally, make sure you, if you can anyways, bring snacks or drinks, because it makes the experience at least more tolerable or more pleasurable. I used to drink Monster because at the time that was my favorite drink, and it still is, but because of my decreased need of caffeine, I just don't drink it that much anymore. I might have a can every now and then, but that's like, when I say every now and then, that's pretty much
saving again?
Every other month or so. I just stick with coffee, and even then, I'm not a big coffee drinker. Never was. Nothing against coffee, just not for me. I don't really like the way it tastes, and yeah, you could put a bunch of stuff in it to make it taste differently or better. Creamers, syrups, sugar even, milk, but I just drink it straight. That's just the way I like it, and even then, that's still not... It still doesn't taste that good to me, but at least it's more tolerable than just loading it with a bunch of stuff. With Monster, on the other hand, though, I mean, it tastes artificially citrusy, I know, but I like that. I just like fruity flavored stuff now. Whereas coffee, when you put a bunch of sweeteners in it and milk and all that, it tastes way too earthy, even despite all that. And if you're putting so much creamer or sweeteners or syrups, so trying to cover that ground earthy taste over, or trying to overpower that flavor, then you might as well just drink the creamer and sweeteners and syrups raw. You might as well not bother with the coffee at that point, in my opinion. What the? Hold on. Is that right? Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, it is. It is. Okay, never mind. No, we're good. We're good. No, I thought I made a mistake, but I didn't. Yeah, this. Okay. What I really wanted to do for this video was just draw some emotes. Not necessarily for streaming, but just trying to make emotes, because that's something I've always wanted to do over the years. I just like the way emotes look and such, their purpose and so on, but I personally don't ever use emotes. It's weird. I like the way they look, but I won't actually actively use them when I'm communicating with other people, just because it's not really a professional way of communicating in general. That's what happens when you stay in school for so long. But anyways, yeah. And I think I'll do that some other time, but I'm also trying to keep myself from starting something like that, or trying to make a video about that, because straight up, I don't want to keep jumping from one project idea to another without finishing what I started. That's a bad habit to get into, when not even for content creation. That's just something that a lot of people do when they make media, whether it be drawing, painting, making comics, making movies, videos, etc., etc. And I think that's more of an attention span thing than anything else. So at least that's my theory anyways. It might also be just because of burnout. Working on something for a long time and doing that frequently gets tiring pretty fast. So I can understand that sentiment too. Want to color pick those nails. And I haven't forgotten about the Ninja Gaiden playthrough either. I will finish that as well. My bad. Try not to make weird sounds in the mic. Something that I've noticed as well is that I've been more inspired to become, or not become, but to do more art related content. I know in the past I said that I was going to quit making art related content and quit being an artist and all that, but after being an art teacher, and on top of that, seeing so many streamers, well, VTubers specifically, making drawing streams on YouTube and Twitch and all that, as well as tutorials on how to do this and that, it made me realize trying to think about how I want to put this. It made me want to push myself to see my potential.
Again?
Because I was always curious about how well I could do as an artist. Not just career-wise, but also how far I can push my skills and knowledge. After being an art teacher and trying to teach others, my students anyways, how to make art with this and that, and trying to nurture their artistic developments. It, for the most part, inspired me to do the same for myself, to nurture my artistic growth and to see how far I can push myself to learn all the fundamentals, practice or apply them, I should say, and see how appealing my artwork can be if I just stuck with it. So for the most part, it's not a New Year's resolution, but it's definitely something that I wanted to give myself this whole year to see how to see that goal, or not that goal, but that curiosity be satisfied. To answer that question of how well could I be, or how well could I make artwork if I just took being an artist more seriously and made more art. And
Are you saving again?
That's where I came in. Not only that though, but pretty much when I broke my right pinky, I also had to I had to teach myself to draw and write with my left hand. So now that my right hand is mostly healed up, I feel like I should just continue working on that. It just doesn't make that much sense to spend 2.5 months of me working on those kinds of skills and then just stopping just because I just suddenly don't feel like doing it anymore. Making artwork is also pretty therapeutic too. It's not very stressful. I mean, unless I were to take it as seriously as some of the anons on 4chan do, and they just whine and complain about, oh, every time I grab a pencil and put it on paper, I just start trembling and this and that, and just continue making a bunch of excuses about why I don't want to make art or don't want to put the effort into learning the fundamentals and this and that. I forgot where I was going with this. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. But basically, the art community is growing bigger on YouTube, and 4chan is pretty much a substitute for what DeviantArt used to be. Rest in peace, DeviantArt. But nonetheless, though, it's nice to have a common goal and a common hobby with other people that take the hobby just as seriously as you do, or as I do in this case. I especially should take this a little more seriously just because I went to school for it. I was in art school. So it just doesn't make any sense to make worse work than someone that has never had a formal education in the arts. I think I'll leave that alone. I think that's all the highlights for the most part. Yeah, it is for the most part. I'll make another layer right underneath this one, just so I can add the other. Oops. Oh, never mind. We're good. Just to add the other highlights that I couldn't place next to the ones I just recently placed. Excuse me, sorry.
Are you
Save once
saving
more.
again?
So I'm trying to limit the number of layers that I use because for the most part, I don't believe that I need that many layers just to do something like this. Could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. On top of that, Krita, I don't know about other drawing softwares, but I know for Krita specifically, it tends to eat up a lot more storage space and RAM when you have so many layers placed in a single project. And there's not really that much of a reason. I've never encountered anyways to have more than 10 layers for one aspect of a drawing or painting. So if I'm doing a sketch, at most I should have 3 layers. For me anyways, personally. For inking, that should be about, depending on the number of characters and or objects in the composition. Say for example, there's only 2 figures, or 3 in this case, right? These 3 figures here. I should only have 3 layers for inking these 3 figures. At the very least, at the very most, probably 6. And then for painting, I'm slowly discovering that if you want to keep the number of values very low, highlights, midtones, shadows, just 3 values, right? Then there should be 3 layers minimum. Maximum though, I believe should be probably at most 10, because you have to make sure that the underpainting also looks pretty good, and there are other reasons as well that I can't think of right now. Organizing layers based on characters, objects, etc., things in the composition. I think that's a good reason to have a few more extra layers, but definitely no more than that. And even then though, I wouldn't really advise keeping the layers separate if you want to maintain storage space and RAM and all that. Now I upgraded my PC so that it's running on some pretty good hardware now. Not the best high-end stuff, but definitely better than what I had a year ago, or the last 3 years I should say. So there's that. But for the most part though, yeah, I can actually allow myself to push my computer and Krita for that matter to do a little bit more. And when I say do a little bit more, I mean have more layers and such. Cool. Is this still considered tracing though, if I'm painting over the reference image, even though I've already copied the location, the figures that I'm painting over in the reference image by using a grid? I guess technically yes, but at the same time though, if I'm color picking from the reference image, I might as well go through with painting over it as well. And then the question becomes, what was the point of copying the figures in the first place if I was just going to paint over the reference image anyways? And to that I say, I'm transitioning from tracing over images to copying to constructing. So working backwards, right? Tracing, of course, is easier than copying, and copying is easier than constructing, because with constructing, you basically work from your, I don't want to say imagination, but your spatial simulation in your mind, right? Your projection of spatial understanding allows you to construct figures or objects just from lines alone and shapes. There's the box method. There's other methods that people talk about on 4chan especially. But that's difficult if you don't know or don't understand how the human figure works, how human anatomy is connected between bones, tissues, ligaments, things of that nature. How perspective works as well. That's something else you got to keep in mind when you're doing construction. And oftentimes when you're doing construction of figures and objects in a composition, you're going to be applying perspective anyways. And so on and so forth. Is that really the same color? Oh, I guess it is. And that just means this is darker. Okay. I wish I could make the cursor of the brush some other color. I think I might. Let's see. Because it's really difficult for me to see it since it's so small. Yeah, the mask type is soft for the brush that I'm using. Soft, shape, circle, anti-aliasing. The diameter is 100 pixels, but it also is determined by this amount of pressure I put on the tablet with the pen. The density is 100% as well. And the spacing is pretty normal. It's 0.8. Precision is 5, blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's see. How do I change the color of this cursor? It makes me wonder if I even can. Can I do that? No, weirdly enough, it does not let me do that. Either that or I'm not looking at the right place. Brush tip. That's not it. No, I guess not. Weird. Because Krita allows you to customize a lot of things, but I guess this just isn't one of them. Weird. That's okay. 5 more minutes until the hour mark is up. Hmm. And let me turn this layer off because I need to see the rest of the leg. You see what I mean though? I can barely see the cursor because it's so small. If it was a loud color like red, then it'd be easier to work with because even if it's small, I could still see it. Unless, of course, it's right next to another red color on the canvas. Okay, and this is what I do. I just use the fill tool. There we go. That doesn't always work just because I have the fill tool settings set to include the boundaries of the layer or for every layer below the one I selected. But in this case, it worked out just fine. All right, cool.
Are you saving again?
Yep. All right, so let's see. Video's almost over. Still haven't forgotten about all the other video ideas. I just haven't been doing a lot of video editing lately because I've been focusing on artwork. Again, I don't want to do what I've done in past years where I just jump from one thing to another. Video editing to streaming to drawing to all that. And there are some things I could do in combination with some other forms of content. So for example, what I'm doing now, I'm making art content by drawing while I'm recording myself doing it. So I'm making video content as well. But for video editing, you really can't do that with any other form of content creation unless you're streaming, unless I was streaming myself editing a video. And of course I could make a video about video editing as well, but I don't know how interesting that would be. Anyways, do I want to stop here? I think I did a decent amount of work. I know it doesn't look like much now, but it's still a lot more than I had in the past. And on top of that though, once the highlights are done, next come the midtones. And then after the midtones, it's just the shadows. What I want to do in the future, and I posted this on 4chan, is that I want to be able to modify the soft brush that I'm using right now so that there's a texture that's applied on the edges of the brush tip or the brush mask so that I can see the brush strokes on the canvas itself, on the composition. But that's for the future. Right now I'm just trying to focus on actually getting the layers correct, and the workflow, the techniques, etc., etc. This is generally what you do with oil and acrylic painting anyways. You work on one theme, or not theme, one group of elements. Now, how should I say this? You work on one element of art or principle of design at a time. So for example, right now I'm essentially doing coloring. I'm going to be focusing on value and color, right? But I'm already taking care of the color aspect by color picking from the reference image, so I don't have to figure out exactly, okay, what's this color, what's that color, how do I make this color look like the color I see in the reference image. So that's taken care of. So I'm just focusing on the value of those colors and how to place them correctly so that they don't smudge against each other, they don't look muddy, and on top of that, I keep the painting looking nice and neat. But yeah. All right, there's the hour mark. Anything else I wanted to talk about? I'll see if I make another video later today. And I definitely want to continue working on short-based content, but as I said, I'm not focusing on video editing right now just because I want to focus on my art making. So there's that. But we'll see what else I do. In the meantime, though, yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. It's either about making art, drawing, painting, or content creation. And I try to make my content at least semi or quasi educational. You know, just adding bits of information here and there, so the viewer walks away with something. It doesn't feel like they were just watching a video for no reason. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll pick this up in the future, but until next time, peace.